Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in to what's going to be a five things video. Basically, I'm a little overwhelmed with new products right now. Like across the board, I've been buying some stuff to try. There have been some new collections coming out, so those have come through in PR, and I'm just a little overwhelmed. It's not a bad problem to have by any means, but I am like, the more things come in and I have to try, I don't know how to include them in videos in like the best, most interesting, or most helpful way. And so I thought, rather than overthink it, I'm just going to talk about some 5 new products that I have been using lately. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go get started. So as you'll be able to tell with this first product, I am not necessarily in love with all of these products. This is truly just like a handful of things that I have used and my thoughts on them. It is the Maybelline Master Bronze and Highlight Kit. I ordered this from Ulta. It was in the news section and I hadn't seen a bronzer palette from the drugstore, and it looked like there were some mattes in here. There were some cool highlighters. Basically, you get a gradient of bronzers / contours. This one down here on the end is more of a matte satin. Then you have a slightly warmer tone with like blatant gold shimmer in it. Then you keep on going a little bit farther over, and this is more of a bronzy highlight. And then you finally get all the way to the end, and this is a full-on high shine cream highlight. My biggest gripe here, well, I have a couple, but one of the bigger ones for me is the texture here. These are very hard powders, and so like they don't, so they don't swatch so well, but when it comes to actually putting a brush in there, it doesn't kick up a lot of product. The brush doesn't pick up a lot, and so it doesn't deposit a lot. It takes a lot of building here for me to kind of make much of anything on my face. Once I do, it comes off as a little patchy, and for the shade in particular, this one with the gold shimmers, that's kind of a question mark to me. I'm like, these are blatant gold shimmers in here, guys, which I don't want as a contour, because the mattes, or the base is entirely matte, and then it has that gold shimmer, so it's like if I contour with this, I'm gonna have intense gold shimmer in the contour of my face. Like that doesn't make sense. So there's half the palette for me that I just don't like. This bronzier highlight shade is not really shimmery. It's not really pigmented at all. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. So it's like a very subtle highlight in that way, which is not for me. The best part, and I'll give credit where it's due, is that this highlight over here on the end is amazing, but there have been so many amazing highlighters from the drugstore coming out, from the $5 ones from Wet n Wild, the Maybelline one I recently talked about that's a close dupe for the Dior. There are too many out there to, justify purchasing this just for the highlighter, so just overall, it's a miss for me. Up next are actually more from Maybelline. They are the City Mini palettes, and I bought 2 of them. One in Urban Jungle with these gorgeous like hunter greens. I'm a sucker for a good hunter green, and there are lots in here, so I got this one. And then I also got what is on my eyes today, which is the Downtown Sunrise, which has amazing peaches and creams and a deeper brown here. These are also just okay to me. You're not gonna like them if you're not a shimmer person, and there's kind of an awkward balance of colors here. I'm not disappointed in the looks that I got from these, but I do think each palette kind of has its own downfall. Let's first start with the Urban Jungle. There are a lot of similar looking like jade, hunter, deep greens. You do get this like deep kind of satiny matte emerald here, and then you get kind of the same base but like with an intense gold shift. But once you put them on the eyes, both of these look very, very similar. There's lots of fallout here, like gold shimmer was all over my face, specifically when I was using this one. And so that's something to be aware of if you're using foundation. Be sure to apply it after the fact so that you can cover some of that up, because the glitter is a lot harder to wipe away than normal shadow might be. It's also kind of a drier formula, and so a shade like this, the matte shade in here, wasn't the best, didn't have the best payout. Was a little chalky, skipped a little bit, and when you blend it out, it kind of blended out into nothing pretty easily. So overall, I would just say, unless you're in the mood for a really great hunter green or like a very subtle selection of different hunter greens to the drugstore, I'd probably skip this one. The Downtown Sunrise palette, on the other hand, is a slightly different story. My biggest gripe with this is that it doesn't have a real crease shade here. I mean, it does. So the way these are set up is over here, you have this is a base shade at the top, and then these are supposed to be 2 crease shades. This like hot peach with gold sparkle in it that I'm wearing on my lid is supposed to be a crease shade, along with this kind of matte satin peach over here. And then you move on to this side and you have 2 lid shades, and then what's supposed to be a liner shade down here. And this is what I'm wearing on my outer corner. Again, this deep dark chocolate brown, not as pigmented as I would have hoped. This is still the same dry formula. It reminds me a lot of the like the quad eye studio shadow formula they have that's in the chevron shape. Very, very similar formula, but you do get a mixture of textures here. Those I think were entirely shimmer for the most part, or like duochrome. They had some fun textures in there and only 4 shades. So this gives you a little bit more variety. But again, the combinations of shades and textures in here do kind of leave me scratching my head because it's like, you know, like no real crease shade. I'm not putting that peach in my crease. That said, there are some really pretty shades in here. I just don't know that this could be your one and done palette, like you pack it and that's the only thing you take for a weekend, because it's missing some of those crucial shades for me, and not every shade kind of lives up to the pigmentation and the texture that I'd hope it would be. Moving on to some products from the brand Kiko Milano. These are from their summer collection, and I thought they were starting to sell somewhere here, like in a store in the US, whether it was Ulta or Walgreens or something like that, but I couldn't find anything when I looked online. I got these from Octoly, and so after looking around, I think the best place to find them is going to be on the Kiko Milano website. The first thing I want to talk about is the Summer 2.0 highlighting drops. These are in the shade Golden Shell, and in general, it's just like a liquid highlight. It's this gorgeous golden shade. It has this nozzle here, and in the past I've really loved to use these to like mix with foundation, mix with your body lotion. They're like a liquid highlight is a great multitasker in that way. You can use it mixed with a lot of other existing products in your routine. But lately I found I've really been liking it because, as you all may know, I have been on a powder foundation kick, trying to try as many as possible, and that makes it harder to apply a liquid over top. So what I've been doing is actually prepping with this. I put this where I would typically put a highlighter on the tops of my cheekbones, down the bridge of my nose, places like that. You know, I mean, well, I don't put foundation there, but clavicle, you get the point. And then I will put my foundation over top, and it just gives this really beautiful lit from within glow to your face. It's a really good technique if you like that lit from within, very subtle looking glow. I more often than not go ahead and put another highlight over top once I have my foundation and everything on, but you could totally downplay it and just wear it underneath your foundation. Bottom line is, I really like this. The consistency is somewhat thin, which at first I thought would be an issue in blending with like liquid foundations and stuff, but it really doesn't affect the texture. I think being thin actually is even better for that. Don't ask me why, it's just what I have found. Bottom line is, though, it plays really nicely with a lot of other stuff you want to mix with it and doesn't affect like the wear time or anything like that. So really, really like that. And then I also have a blush, well, kind of a split pan blush from them to talk about too. This is the Summer 2.0 Baked Blush in Natural Beach, and they have 3 different shades within this blush collection. This is the more pinky one, and you can see it's a baked split pan. Over here you have a shimmery berry pink, and then on the other side you have more of a satin kind of bronze. It can be used as a bronzer. It's a little bit harder to get a big fluffy bronzer brush in here without picking up some of that blush shade. So more often than not, I find myself either using just the blush shade, which is what I've done today, or mixing the two together for a little bit more of a more subtle blush shade. Really, really pretty when you do that. And then it acts as kind of a all-in-one blush and bronzer. Like if I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to carve out or like do the bronzer or even a light bronzer, I will just go right in with here, and I find those brown tones higher up on my cheekbones create the look of a naturally contoured cheek line, whereas the pink comes out a little bit more closer to the apples of my cheeks and looks more like blush than bronzer. I don't know, it's just one of those that really shifts as you put it on. And then because the blush is laced with a heavier shimmer, you really don't need a highlight. I, of course, go with a highlight, but in theory, this could be your all-in-one cheek product because you have the bronzer, the blush, and then both are kind of satin / outright shimmery, so you just don't necessarily need a highlighter all the time. So really, really like this as well. And the compact, I mean, it's like a heavy duty, not heavy duty, but like a substantial compact. This is not at all like the drugstore compacts you see. It has complete with a mirror in there. You get a good amount of product. This is my first experience with Kiko Milano products in a relatively long time, and I forget how good they are. I do have another, it's an eye, again, part of the summer collection, like a liquid eye color that I do need to try out a little bit more, but for the most part, I've really been liking these. And last up is one of the Covergirl melting pots. I ordered this from Ulta again, and I have to say, the one thing about these, be aware when you're ordering online, because online, this looked like more of a cool but still light nude. The reason I'm not wearing it here today is because it's a very deep like a medium deep mauvey, like very fall-y color. I think I'm gonna love it during the fall, but it just isn't really going with my summer vibe lately. For reference, it's shade 100 or the shade Celebrity, and these are supposed to be gel liquid lipsticks. They come with this, it's like not a doe, kind of a doe foot sponge where the product dispenses through the end here, and it already has a sponge attached, so you just go and blend it in that way. It's kind of a thicker lip product, but still has kind of a balmy, glossy sheen to it. Very pigmented. It's exactly like a liquid lipstick, but not quite as watery. It's a little bit heavier, which I think makes it easier to get a more precise application across the lips, especially with this sort of applicator. And it's pretty long lasting. You do get some transfer. It doesn't dry down all the way, but it stains your lips in a way so that even after that top layer of finish basically comes off, you're left with that pigment still on your lip. And because it doesn't dry down all the way, it's a really comfy sort of texture that still is long lasting. It's actually a pretty unique product from the drugstore in terms of wear time and comfort and pigmentation. I'll definitely pick up some other shades from this collection, but like I said, I have plenty to work with right now. In fact, what I'm wearing on my lips right now is one of the new L'Oreal Infallible paints in the metallic finish. This is in the shade Moonlust. Those came in the mail yesterday, and so I'm like in the middle of testing those too. So I would recommend these. I like these and I want to get more shades, but I'm just still testing other things. So that is it for me and my 5 things today. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you prefer getting ready with me with a bunch of new products? Do you prefer reviews with a bunch of new products? Or is this kind of 5 in 1, just kind of what I'm using right now video, more your speed? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye guys.